I remember who, but I don't remember when. The individual asked me, how do you have the relationships you have with physicians? And, I think a lot of this does have to do with 10012 or any of the other zip codes in New York City. I think a lot of the things, and I'm going to stand on my head on this, a lot of the things that I think are fantasy land in our profession and the things that we strive for can happen when environments have significant resources. And obviously, there is no single location in the world that has more resources of all different types than New York City. So I'm not going to say you're going to do every single thing that we did in New York City or now are continuing to do, but you can kind of use the model and pick apart the things that you want to do. And remember, if you don't work for me or work with me, you can do it any way you want. My way is not the only way. If you do work with me, is going to be done in a very particular way. Now, I'm actually going to say something that probably people would be surprised. Sometimes relationships start inorganically. And the good news is what I'm suggesting is that if you send lots of people to a physician and you put lots of money in their pocket, as long as your patients or clients are being served, it's a big win. So it's not like some of the relationships that I have are not just from, oh, hey, what's up, man? And you really hit it off. Maybe sometimes the first entry point is just putting lots of money into somebody's pocket. Because in lots of places, including other than New York City, money talks. And that is an expression of giving. It's an expression of gratitude. And if hopefully it can be reciprocated. And that's how all of a sudden you start to see where the better connections are. If you send somebody 100 people and they don't give you the time of day, well, then don't send them 101. But when you do have lots of connections, some of these other choices you can make. Number one, go with your client. If you're a trainer, go with them to the physical therapist or the chiropractor. Not only can you write that off or hopefully keep that on the clock in some way, you're actually going to get FaceTime. When we have people shocked. Like, wait, you're going to come with me to the office? Yeah, I'm coming with you. I'm going to make sure shit goes down correctly. I have gone with patients and, a little bit, it can be fun when things really go well. The moment we sat down in a chair after signing in and doing whatever paperwork, it was like hot lava on the chair. As soon as we sat down, we sat right back up. So-and-so, please come back. And they're like, you pulled that off. And I'm like, yeah. I might not have done anything. Yeah, these are some cool stories. And they're all going to be aggrandizing, so I'm not going to get into it. But going with them and remember, who hates someone showing interest in you? Well, I could think of somebody off the top of my head, but anyway, when you show interest in someone, not only the patient, but the provider, therapist going with to the doctor, not only might you learn something, you might not. That's not the point. The point is to develop a connection. And you don't, again, if they're not helping your patient, then you shouldn't be going back. And then all of a sudden, when you're there, you might be able to, drop off some things. And that's organic. You're not just buying them lunch like my guy in New York with his 50 different facilities. And you might be able to just talk nice to somebody. And all of a sudden you have that backdoor line to be able to call. And then, talk about things that aren't, necessarily for the patient scheduling process. Talk to people when you don't need something. That's a big part of our social systems and processes that I put in Canada basketball on how can you start to develop safety with someone else when you can't control their safety. Give, then ask. I think Gary Vee calls that jab, 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 punch, and more in a marketing type of strategy. Give. Talk to people when you don't need anything. And then the 6th or 7th time, they're going to remember the 5 or 6 times that you didn't ask for something, and they might be a little bit quicker to give. So if you're sending lots of patients, go in with no expectations. I tell, again, our model in New York City is a little bit different. Doc, I don't care if you ever send me anybody. Don't worry about it. That's not our model, okay? It might be weird. I'm not shaking you down for referrals because there's only going to be certain people that are going to work with us anyway. But what I want is that when I call you, or I call your staff, shit stops. And that's when this is stuff that billionaires can't always buy. I remember sitting with one of my closest friends, the now friend, and a surgeon at HSS, and we were talking with my guy from China, Happy Tom, and Happy Tom was asking for certain things that we could work out on a project, and the surgeon said to him, "He was like, Tom, you realize billionaires can't get what you're asking for, but we could get it," because he had the connection to the right people. And again, nothing wrong with getting paid and getting paid well for what you do. I can look anybody in the eye and be like, whether I do something for free or I do it for $1 million, I'm going to do the same best job that I possibly can under those contexts and those circumstances. Just go and start to be who you are and be charismatic, because there's no way in the world a good person is going to be annoyed that you're not, that you're somehow showing interest in the patient's plan of care and also how this other individual is going to engage. And that's when I think there's some magic that can happen, because now you're in the same room. It's not like you're relying on this information from someone else, which creates maybe a normal hierarchy, but one that isn't necessarily necessary. Everybody's equal, and I think even the most sensational surgeons or the most arrogant of therapists, they think they're better than the one that's sending them somebody. No, man. Like, I'll give you a couple examples recently that kind of pushed me into this, to feel good about this topic. Last week,